In the booth, we're ready. At 7:02, I will reconvene tonight's Board of Selectmen meeting. We had met earlier reviewing with Unitil and with the tree warden and with members of the Board of Selectmen and some members of the Planning Board. We reviewed the trees that are under review for trimming or removal from Unitil as part of their storm resiliency plan. So that will be discussed further at the Planning Board meeting at their continuation of the public hearing on Monday, September 23rd. Okay, let's start the formal part of our meeting by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. I will ask if there's any public comment from the board this evening. Hearing none. I just have one. Mrs. Adams mentioned last week, and I said I would have further word on it this week, about the passing of Jan Carrier, who was a longtime resident of the town, a longtime employee of the town, and a longtime volunteer in many aspects. Most notably, or most visibly, she was the administrative assistant for the Lunenburg Conservation Commission, from which she retired from in December of 2015. But overall, Jan loved her town and her community and demonstrated that through her service to the same town. Whether serving on building committees, the Cemetery Commission, the Historical Society, the Caucus Committee, or any of other several groups, she had always had something to give to the community and always shared her opinions. She was a dedicated member and former secretary of the Lunenburg Turkey Hills Family Lions Club. She served as Lunenburg's election warden for over 45 years and was usually the first face you would see in the lobby upon entering to cast your ballot. I had the honor of knowing Jan for many years and working with her on many things, always with a smile, always optimistic, but never hesitating to give her true opinion, even if she knew that that wasn't what you wanted to hear. If you asked her what she thought about something, she gave it, and there's really nothing better that you could ask for, especially in community service. She served, as you heard, in many different boards in many different ways, and raised her family around here. Some of them still live here in town, and was really a pleasure knowing her, and I wish all her friends and family our deepest condolences from the board and from the town. For those who are interested, there will be a gathering to remember Jan that will be held on Friday, September 20th, that's this Friday, from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Apple Hill Farm on 143 Jocelyn Street in Leominster. Any public comment from the public? Sir.
Good evening, Ron Dion, White Street. Okay, I just want to give you an update on what I've done in the last week, well, last few days. Last Friday morning, Kit Walker and I made an agreement to meet Friday morning to go and view the primary school. We did that. We walked every inch of that building except for the attic. We didn't go into the attic because he said, don't go in the attic. I said, okay. All right, don't go in the attic.
I've seen the movies, that's good advice.
Okay, and then this morning I was fortunate enough to have a meeting with Jet. We spent about an hour together discussing the issue, okay? And amongst other things too, but it's okay. We settled on, and we left congenially. We left it with shaking the hands and everything, so everything is good. Okay. Yeah, in that review last Friday morning with Kit, we discussed the whole building as a whole, you know, and I brought that report that was done by Vertex to show, and I showed them, and we looked at I looked at every issue. There was some pictures that were submitted. I looked at every single one of it. Like I said, we walked the whole building, each floor, the boiler room, the whole 9 yards. And it was in the condition I thought it might be. Because, these pictures show the faults of the building. It doesn't show the good parts of the building. I've seen some gorgeous looking classrooms in there. So there's a little tile on the floor that needs to be replaced. Big deal. That's not a big expense. It's something minor. There's a lot of minor repairs that could be done in that building. I'm not going to try to bring it up to code at this point because it doesn't, let's see what it looks like if we can get it going in a series of years, like I stated the last time, to get it to where it's either going to be used for a school again or it's going to be up for sale. I looked at some of the classrooms. They're excellent as far as the size to put apartments in there. Because it's going to take a lot of plumbing, but that's up to the developer who buys it, not us. A lot of the responsibility is going to be left to whoever buys it if they buy it, if and when they buy it, And my understanding with the state that they have a 40B plan where a developer can get funding from the state. Okay, and from what Jack was telling me, that died a few years ago, but it looks like it's reborn again. So there's money available if we find a developer that wants to buy it. But as far as not getting rid of the building, I strongly oppose that, and I always will. Okay?
Understood.
And, because, I even in the report, it says there's steel rafters in the attic to hold the roof up. Steel. I've never heard of such a thing. It's always used to be wood. This has got steel. So the roof ain't collapsing anytime soon. Maybe it needs a section of roof woodworking to be done, if that's the case. But it doesn't look like it, because it looks like there's only a section in the right-hand corner in the rear where the what do they call it, the rubber roof is floating up in the back there with the wind. No wonder the water's getting in there. I mean, come on. So it needs the eaves to be done right in that area. And she corrected me a little while ago. It's not 10,000 plus, a little bit. It's 11,000 that's allowed. Okay? So I went in front of the capital planning earlier, to find out how to get this done. Mm-hmm. How do I have to go through them, or what can I do? But come to find out, I got a citizen petition to put it on the ballot for the fall. Only for the roof. That's it. That's as far as I want to take it at this point. Because I still feel strongly that the building is structurally sound. It's even in the report, that's quoted in the report. It's structurally sound. So, in my opinion, there's no reason in God's creation to knock that building down. It can be used for something else, or for school, as I stated, with the growth that's happening on Howard Street. There's going to be kids coming in there, and they're going to need a school. They're going to need, and there's this,
we understand your position. Your position is crystal clear.
Okay. All right, so can I have any volunteers for signature?
You can't get signatures for that, I don't think, in the building.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to get them outside. That's like.
I'm going to try my darndest in the 13 days that it is till the cutoff time.
Oh, it's just
to
nomination.
Get the 100 signatures, and believe me, I'm going to work hard to do it. And that should be able to give everybody an idea. If I can get 100 signatures in 13 days, how the rest of the people feel about the building. Okay? How the rest of the people of the town feel about the building. Because I'm going to get some of the ones that don't come to the town meetings and don't make a vote. I'm going to get the people face to face.
Good. That's the way it works.
Just like we're doing it right now.
Excellent.
Okay?
Happy to
I
sign.
appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And I hope everything goes well.
So do we.
I look forward to signing that.
All right. Any announcements?
No.
Okay, 7:05, Smokestack Roosters, LLC, coming for a common victual license hearing for 39 Mass Ave.
Good evening.
Good evening. If you would introduce yourself, please.
My name's Jacqueline Nickel. I'm proprietor. Smokestack Roosters at 39 Mass Ave.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Glad to be here.
let's look at the application, which should be in our packet. I'll open it up if anybody has any questions before I do. Tell us a little bit about what your establishment is.
We're a coffee roasting shop and cafe. So we've had a home-based license from the Board of Health for the past 3 years, roasting on a single 1-pound roaster. And we purchased a large 15-kilo roaster that was connected today, and we saw beans flow, and it was very exciting. So we intend to roast on site every day, but during the daytime, 6 a.m. to 2, we want to have coffee. So we'll have an espresso machine and pastries and chocolates and all sorts of good things. If we can just open the doors.
So 6 to 2, you said.
Yep.
Is that the time you're going to be roasting as well?
We're debating whether we roast while the customers are there. It's just myself and my husband to start, and we think that the volume will be enough for the two of us that we have to work the counter in the morning and then shut the doors at 2 and roast. So we might split the day. So we may be open after hours, but not to the public. We're anticipating huge crowds.
Good. So 39 Mass Ave, is that on the north or south side of Mass Ave?
I feel stupid not knowing the directions.
Well, if you're going to
but,
Fitchburg, if you're
yeah.
going toward Fitchburg, is that on the left or the right?
Yeah, it's on the right. It's right next to
it's on the
Safe
north
Light,
side,
across
okay.
from the old bootlegger. Well, Simon Pure Public House.
Oh, it's
Oh,
across
okay,
from Simon.
okay.
So-
Yep. There used to be an old car dealership.
Right.
And they
okay.
were storing luxury cars last year, and they've taken the garage space. It's like 6,000 square feet, and we've made it into our manufacturing spot, built out counters and plumbed everything in, and yeah, we're almost there. It's exciting.
Very exciting.
They have all their certificates and everything they
Yes.
need to. Obviously had Board of Health approval for a while. Any questions from the board?
We approved the common vic license for Smokestack Roosters LLC at 39 Mass Ave.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
So when will you be opening?
In a couple weeks. The next step is the Board of Health, but everything's built, and that's lovely. So we're just testing out. We still need to figure out our menu and all those kinds of things. So hopefully by the end of the month. Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Hope to see you guys.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you.
710, a peddler's license application from Steve Mangelli of Edward Jones Investments. Did I say is it Mangelli?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Haven't lost my Italian, that's
I
good.
appreciate that.
So, tell us about what you're asking.
Okay, so I'm requesting authorization, permission, permit to just basically go out in the neighborhoods around Lunenburg and speak to residents about what I do. I help my clients plan for retirement, live in retirement, save for education for the kids, maybe save on some taxes, and then we get a little into life insurance as sort of a protective measure as well. It's not a core business, but it's part of what we do, is a holistic approach to financial planning.
Okay.
So basically what I'm looking to do is just some face-to-face marketing. I'm not actually selling anything at the door, handing out
But you're
some
going
brochure-
door to door.
I'm going door to door,
Okay.
yes, sir.
What hours will you be doing that?
Subject to the town's restrictions, I usually find people at home in the evenings.
Up to
Between-
what time?
Up until dusk or dark. I don't really knock on doors any later than 7:30, because I'm not out there to be annoying, I'm just out there to introduce myself.
I was going to say, are the times documented anywhere, or in this type of permit, where
I
does
don't
it
see any
dictate?
paperwork in the Google Drive for this.
I'm sorry?
I don't see any paperwork in our files for this.
So
but
he's on
it's
our
cut-
agenda, so does he have?
Yeah, no,
It was submitted. It's
I
just
submitted a
not-
permit and a copy of my state permit, I'm sorry, an application and a copy of my state permit.
I
Been,
know everything's in order.
okay.
for,
Talk to the police chief, all
submittal.
that.
That's the thing I was going to suggest, is
Yeah.
that when you are going, because again,
Well, I'll stop in.
especially at dusk, people are going to want to know, because if they see somebody going door to door,
Absolutely.
then they're going to call the police, and that you would want to let them know when and where you're going to be.
So any days that I'll be in town, I'll stop there first, I'll let them know what neighborhoods, what streets I'll be on.
That'd be great.
I've been doing this a little over a year now in other communities, and, I've never had any issues with that.
Yeah, I just want the people, the homeowners to be alerted,
You would,
and I don't want any
absolutely.
trouble for you, obviously, either,
Right.
so.
Absolutely.
All the peddler applications are Corey checked as well
And
as.
I submitted the
as
Corey paperwork
um,
as well. So.
Drivers, whoever is going to be going door to door, we have a copy of their licenses.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably suggest that on the peddler's license, we limit it to sundown, whenever sundown is, so as it changes, as it gets
Right.
later into the year.
It'd be like 3 in the afternoon.
Well, I guess if you live in Ottawa, but.
Right. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to be walking around in the.
Right,
after dark
exactly,
either,
it's just
so-
not safe either.
Yeah,
so.
sure.
So-
questions?
Yeah, I do. So you're not selling anything, but
Correct.
you're marketing. So
Correct.
how does, if you don't mind, how does that work? Are you
I
just
knock-
handing out material?
I knock on your door, I introduce myself, I tell you that I'm not selling anything or talking politics, religion, or anything like that. Financial advisor,
Got it. Here's hard
maybe
copies.
opening an office in the local area with Edward Jones Investments. Usually, they ask the questions after that. And then if they ask for a card or if they have any interest in working with a financial advisor, of course, we'll exchange information so I can get back in touch with them. But mostly it's handing out a brochure and a business card at the door.
So are you acting then in the capacity of like a personal advisor, or is there a product, not necessarily when you're meeting with them, but is there a financial product that they're purchasing eventually?
We're a broker-dealer, so
Okay,
yes,
got it.
there would be the product would be a plan that is custom tailored to that client's needs, whether it's saving for retirement through something like a traditional or Roth IRA, saving for the kids' education, a combination of the two.
Okay,
Does that answer the?
it does.
Okay.
If anybody on the board, because it's not on our drive, wants to see the hard copy, I'll pass it down.
Thank you.
So give us a moment, because
Sure.
we didn't get a chance to review all these.
Sure.
If there are other questions from the board for the applicant, please take this time.
So what other communities have you been doing this in?
Lowell, Tingsboro, a little bit in Westford, a little in Dunstable. I live in Townsend, so, Lunenburg made sense to, and we have an office in Townsend already, so.
Oh, okay,
So
so,
I don't go through Townsend out of courtesy to that financial advisor. So
do you work out of an office?
I work out of the Westford office on Littleton Road. We have two offices in Westford, Littleton Road and Groton Road.
Per the chair's question, I'm just wondering if anywhere it documents hours and sort of the rules of the license, anywhere in the application? In terms of us verbalizing that we would like it to happen at such times, but is it documented that that's what we're requesting?
I think we could.
You can
probably-
stipulate
we
it
can
in your
stipulate
vote.
it.
I'm just asking if it's already
It's not in
somewhere.
there. He's left it open. I don't think the form asked for it, but we can stipulate.
Does the form, did I miss that on the form?
No, no, no.
I don't
Does it
think
say
so.
it's
That's
not
what I was
didn't
just
notice
asking,
anything.
if it was
We
something
can
that,
stipulate a
I
condition.
know when
of
I
conduct.
when I requested from Pepperell, they specifically said on the license 9 to 5. So if that's, you want to do something along that lines, that's fine with me. So.
Yeah, if you, again, I'm fine with 9 to sundown, but if you want it to be 9 to 5, we'll do that too, whatever.
I prefer sundown only because I can get out there
So
more in the
that's-
summertime.
That's what I'll ask whoever makes the motion to do. Does anybody have any other questions? So I'll entertain a motion about the application for the peddler's license. Does no one want to give this gentleman a peddler's license?
Let's see. I make a motion that we grant a peddler's license to Steve Mongelli of Edward Jones Investment to go door to door until sundown. Is there a
From
starting
nine-
time?
Say from 9 to.
From 9 a.m. till sundown?
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. I'll second it. I don't, we have not participation day on the board today, I guess. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
I said aye.
What?
I said aye.
Oh, you said aye. Okay,
Yes.
so 4 to 1. It's approved. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. What do I do from here? Am I going to get something in the mail, or?
Yes,
Okay.
from our office, once we
Somebody
make
would
copies.
just pass this
of the
down, and whoever has
license,
the
then it
folder,
will
just
be,
put that
either you can
attached
pick it up
to the folder,
if you're in
please.
town.
All right, great,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
7:15, toll booth request for October 12th, Lunenburg Boys and Girls Club.
Hi, everyone.
Greetings.
Hi.
Greetings. Good evening. I don't know if you all know Gary. He's our new chairman of our board. He's from Lunenburg and super passionate about the club, and this is all new to him. He's our toll booth chairman also, so I figured I would
So you're gonna show him the
walk him
ropes.
through the first
All right.
steps. Yes.
Pay close attention.
Yes, this is very difficult.
First of all, you have to face an adversarial board, so.
So we submitted our application for October 12th to have a voluntary toll in the center from 9 to 1. We've talked to the DPW, the chief of police. We have all our cones and our vests. We're aware of the waivers. We will collect all of those. We know everyone needs to be over 18.
When is it from? From 9 to 1?
9 to 1.
Okay. And you have a copy, I'm sure, of all the requirements, nobody under 18?
Yes.
Okay. And this, just for people at home, this is one of the two that the club does every year and has been for many years.
Yes, we try to do one in the spring and one in the fall.
Whatever weekend that is, I always end up going through the center town like 30 times. Eventually I have to hold up the sticker.
We try not to be too pushy.
I'm just teasing. We keep extra dollars ready. So I would just make a motion that we approve the request for the toll booth for the Boys and Girls Club on the date of
October 12th.
October 12th. Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
So I mean, I know that you guys need money, but is there a special project for this, or is this just general?
This is general operating funds. A lot of our special projects are grant funded, but a lot of our in-town fundraisers and special events are general operating costs.
Okay.
Is this homecoming, by the way?
It is not homecoming. Homecoming is October 19th,
okay.
which is also followed by our Shrieks and Creeks Haunted House and Hayride on October 26th. The center of town will be hopping on Saturdays in October.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? If you need volunteers, you know my email address.
Thank you all very much. Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
We'll see you up here solo next time, Gary. Okay, 7:20, almost right back on time, almost. We have Complete Streets Tier 3 project application that I'm sure is going to be introduced by the town manager and our DPW director. That's my premonition. We gotta sell us.
So this is something that's back before the board. I know the Chairman Alonso and Selectman Jeffries. This was, you haven't seen this yet before, so there'll be enough explanation tonight to hopefully satisfy all your questions. So the Complete Streets program, we adopted a policy some time ago. That was the first step. We received funding to do a prioritization plan, which did an assessment of all various projects for Complete Streets. It was prioritized. That was submitted to the state and approved as well. This is all through the Mass Department of Transportation. And we are now on Tier 3 of the program, which is to request funding for projects. So the two main projects that, and they're coming back before the board that we discussed previously, are the Main Street area and the Whalum Town Beach area. So from here, I'll pass it along to Rich Benevento.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, for the record, Rich Benevento from World Tech Engineering. I'm also here with Bill Mertz from our office. So we looked at the projects that were under consideration the last time and went back and modified both the town center, call it town center projects, really Main Street and town center, as well as the beach project. The Town Center project before had 4 projects in it. We actually we took one of the projects out, which is Oak Street. But 3 remain within that particular application for Tier 3 funding. The other project that Heather mentioned was the beach project. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight is how many boxes we check off in terms of the things that Mass DOT is looking for in order to approve these projects. This program is incredibly competitive now. When it first started, they had more money than they had projects, so submit something, we'll give you the money. It's not like that anymore. I think I mentioned that the last time I was here. So the idea is to really pick projects that are going to check as many boxes of the things that they're looking for. For example, the beach, and by the way, the beach project, I think, is $220,000 we would be requesting for Complete Streets funding, and the Town Center Main Street project is $230,000 in Complete Streets funding. The beach project checks off 1 box, provides pedestrian accommodation. And Bill will get into more detail in a second on these. The Main Street project checks off many boxes: connectivity and pedestrian accommodation, transit. I think we checked off a transit box as well, didn't we, Bill, on one of them? Just connections to the local transit. So what we're trying to do is really bolster the application, so when the reviewers at Mass DOT are looking at it, they can say, ooh, they're accommodating this and they're accommodating this, and doing as many as they can. We tell cities and towns all the time that the town's top priority may still be the town's top priority, but it may not be the most advantageous for getting funding. Doesn't mean that you're going to discount that project and never do it. It just means in terms of this project, or this program rather, we're trying to help you identify the project that has the best chance of being accepted. We had a project in Merrimack. It took 4 tries before they actually got the funding. Topsfield was 3 or 4? 3. 3 times in Topsfield.
Was it because they didn't have enough yeses checked, or just because of the competitive nature?
Because of the competitive nature.
So they had all the yeses checked?
They look at all of the boxes checked, and they look at it against other projects throughout the Commonwealth. As I said, when this started, there weren't many.
But I mean the projects that took 4 tries, did they have a lot of yeses checked?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because the idea is to submit something that we would be doing you an injustice if we said, oh yeah, that's a great one, submit it. Because we know better. We know that how this program has been going, and as it becomes more and more competitive, they're looking to see how many complete street components a project is addressing.
So alternative 2 is really, there's no point in even discussing that.
We can discuss it, but from
your presentation, there's no point in discussing it.
Right. Bill, why don't you come on up? And you can go through this in a little bit more detail as well.
Good evening, everybody. One thing I would add is, in addition to checking all the boxes, which the first alternative check a lot more, kind of like the original submittal.
Yeah.
Because one thing it adds also, and again, we're talking about complete streets here. It's an intersection reconstruction that also is addressing vehicle safety. So you're touching as many uses as you can. It's pedestrian, it's intersection safety, vehicular safety. So it's touching a lot of users. The other thing is the location where the village in the Main Street area is. A lot of these projects, they're looking to touch as many people as they can. So a lot of the projects that have been approved are downtown type projects, town centers where they're touching a lot of users. The beach, for example, I guess you could say it's seasonal. So it may come into the decision factor. It's a seasonal use. What are you going to do in the winter? The Main Street project, the village area, touches a lot more people year-round. So that's another consideration, as well as the modes that it's addressing.
So I have a question on alternative 1. Do you have to do all 3 of them? Because that's a lot of town money.
You can submit, again, you have up to $400,000. You can pick one project off this list, or you can submit all 3, and you can submit all 3, and they could accept all 3, them being Mass DOT, or they may actually say, you know what, we're going to give you money for number 1. So you're not guaranteed to get all three if you submit all three.
If you, let's say you submit all three,
Yep.
and they say, okay, all three, do you have to do all three, or can you go, nah, we really don't, we really only want to do two because it's only gonna cost us
You're going to want to
$30,000.
submit on what you want to get done.
So, once we make this decision, we can't go, oh, forget it, there's too much money.
No, I think you should decide which ones you definitely want to go forward with and then submit.
Because this is
Which
a
number
lot
were
of
you saying
money.
was on the town's piece?
Yeah, I'm looking at this, $310,000 is a lot of money.
Well, I mean, I think in the overall scheme of things, we add those things in. For example, if you're moving curbing, you're going to have to adjust some drainage. If you're going to do a project like this, likely you're going to want to perhaps mill and overlay the roadway. So when it looks done, it's done. I don't know what Jack has in the road program, but I understand that you have some pretty decent prices in the road program. This allows you to sort of do a composite project as opposed to just saying doing the sidewalks and some wheelchair ramps. Some of those things,
Yeah, so-
could you take some of those things out?
Yeah, so
right?
what's in here, and some of the estimates on the far right column, which is a town column, that is essentially paving and drainage. So if you're putting in, say for example, on Prospect Street where there's no sidewalk now, if you're putting in curbing, there's a strong likelihood that you're gonna have to put in catch basins and manholes to handle the stormwater. Oftentimes, that's considered, I'll say, non-participating, not included. We can make the argument, how are we supposed to put in a sidewalk without putting in drainage? So when we go to submit the application, we could put that on the complete street side. There's no guarantee that they're gonna say, okay, we agree.
They've done it in some
They've done it in
places.
some places where, for example, we've put in raised tables, raised intersections, where we made the argument you can't put in a raised intersection and not have drainage, because you'll have flooding. So they've accepted it. So this is kind of worst-case scenario from the town's perspective, but I think that's the safest way to kind of, in the decision-making, this is gonna be your worst case.
Can I just, Mr. Chairman, through you?
Absolutely.
I think maybe the DPW Director can address your question, Selectman Luck, because some of this, that town funding would be already planned for in the pavement management plan. That's the Main Street.
Thank you, Heather. Phyllis, I'll try to answer your question.
Great.
The Main Street has come up in discussion a number of times, moving the line over, or moving the crown over because of the parking. And this process has been in progress for a while. Main Street is up for paving. It can be done probably next year. In fact, we're in the process of resurveying. We're at that point, every 5-year point. But Main Street is certainly going to be near the top of the list.
So it hasn't been paved under the pavement management program
But
yet?
it's, right,
Okay,
right, in anticipation of this project.
Okay.
So any paving, drainage that would be done with this alternative would have been done anyway in this time frame. So the paving that's, I don't know what he has here for on the paving number, but we would be paving Main Street anyway. The timing is perfect for this. And Memorial Drive.
So, how much of the town portion are we spending without complete streets?
Oh, I wouldn't want to guess as an exact number, but the debt exclusion drainage would handle the drainage out of that fund, and the pavement management, either Chapter 90 or pavement management plan. I think that doesn't come under debt exclusion, would cover Main Street in its entirety.
Jack, one other thing too, if when you're paving the street, you have to do handicap ramps. So if Jack were just to be paving the streets, the town would be paying to put handicap accessibility in where you have sidewalks. You have to put in new ramps that, if any of them are non-compliant. Having it part of the complete streets are gonna pay for those ramps.
And the timing is also perfect there, because yesterday we had although it was a productive meeting, it was a little frightening as to where we sit in terms of compliance with ADA and specifically sidewalks. We didn't get into any long report about the buildings. That's coming around right behind it, but there's a significant number of ramps to the sidewalks and other ADA accommodations that we will now have to put into our paving program. You know, the back streets, the Gilchrists, the Arbors and stuff. But anywhere where there's an existing sidewalk, or we anticipate building a sidewalk. And if we can
That really raises the price of sidewalks, doesn't it?
and if we can get Complete Streets to pay for that, that's a pretty significant, because that's mostly handwork. Pretty significant number. And we're just, listen, we're at the tip of the iceberg on this ADA compliance thing. It's, you know, we're going to have to look collectively and interdepartmentally as to what we're going to budget for that. And I don't want to get too carried away with this. So that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have time and time again. So any part of this that we can have done by Complete Streets would be wonderful. You'll notice we took out the Northfield and Oak Ave intersection because frankly, I didn't think we had spent enough time and gotten enough public input into that intersection. I had discussions with every principal that's been at that school and the superintendents, and it's an issue. I didn't feel comfortable going with the design. We do have some options, and we'll bring those options up at some time, but in terms of meeting the deadlines for putting this in, I thought we should probably just take that out because, you know, I'm not comfortable with determining what's going to happen there.
And I'm kind of confused by the description of the Main Street and Oak Ave work. Could you explain that? Is there going to be a crosswalk across that island?
You guys
or-
want to get into this?
Yeah, so this,
Bill, or I can.
the intersection is going to be reconstructed where it's that triangle now. It's going to be it's not going to be split. It's going to be one single road at a T intersection. So there'll be one pedestrian crossing and a crosswalk, and there'll be one crosswalk across that road. So the Y is going to be taken out and put with the T intersection.
So it'll just be pavement in the whole thing?
It'll be tighter pavement. The rest will be grass or whatever, which is beneficial there because given the grade differential, the sight distance coming around that corner be much, much better and much safer as that road is taken from this to this at a T intersection.
Yeah, can I add
Yep,
to that?
sure.
Only because we just talked about this yesterday, is that to put a sidewalk on you see that the topography of the road is at a significant slope there. It's not ADA compliant to put the sidewalk on that slope. And try to achieve the other side with a ramp that's going to accept it. So this changing the configuration in MassDOT, anytime you build a new road, always forces you, for lack of a better word, to build a T intersection. These sliders that we have off of Kilburn and off of Gilchrist are just